Welcome everyone, Vidette Mayer here. I am back with you for today's daily tune-in. Today feels like a breath of fresh air after yesterday's intense geomagnetic storms. You can hear the tap tap tapping of my dog as she walks through the room. Today is a little bit lighter. If you'll see the graphic, either I posted on Instagram or on the actually, I'll probably just show it here somewhere on this video. But everything is a little bit quiet today. The Schuman Resonance is quiet. The KP index shows us at kind of a normal geomagnetic rate. Rate's not the right word, but I'm totally blanking out. And also there is some pressure still around our planet, but you're not seeing as much blowing in from the sun or from the backside of our planet. So right now, as I record this, things are rather quiet, which gives us a time to integrate some of those energies that came in. The weird thing is, I went to bed totally normal last night, and I woke up with this like blood blister thing on my eye. I got up and went into the bathroom, and I was like, what is that? I have some concealer on it right now, so it doesn't seem as big, or like, I mean, but it's pretty obvious. So the weird thing is, I have no idea what this is, what it is. I also know that in the evening, when we sleep, when we rest, we do a lot in our consciousness. In we astral travel. We are multidimensional selves. I know for some of you who might read or watch this or read this, it might sound a little strange, but in my mind, I'm wondering, like, what was I doing last night in some realm that I don't remember being in, but I woke up with this crazy thing on my eye. So there's a lot happening, whether you believe all of this or not, energetically, emotionally, physically. There is so much going on with these energies coming in, and with everything going on in our world. We are updating, we are upgrading our consciousness, we're upgrading our emotional well-being, we're upgrading our bodies as we come up into these higher frequencies, trying to get to the point where we're resonating again with our planet. So what this is, I don't know, but in my mind, it's something having to do with my body purging even more stuff. And my eyes have been kind of wonkadoo. Many people, as an ascension symptom, ascension being the rise in our energy, in our frequency, a lot of people are saying they're having some blurriness, and you know, so there's this logical explanation of things in our physical world that's happening, and also there's this energetic explanation. So as we come together and we start to try to make sense of these changes that we're feeling, you're always going to find a logical reason. And yes, I'm in my 40s, and yes, you know, eyes go blurry, but also it just coincides with a lot of this increase in energy. It's happened very fast, this thing coming out in my eye. So there's still questions. There's still questions that aren't answered. And it's just what we're having to do is be really in the process and kind of let go of needing to know. We're having to let go of really fully understanding what this time is all about. We can grasp a little bit about the ascension process, but we really don't know what it's going to look like and what it is looking like and how it really works in the physical world, because nothing in our planet, no, in our history, have we ever navigated anything like this. So we're all in the unknown at the moment. But what we do know right now is that the cosmos is a little bit quiet. It's giving us a break to breathe, to integrate these higher energies. So today, as I sat down and got my journal out and asked for the message for today, what do we need to tune in to, kind of looking at the energies, how does that all fall into place into an intuitive message for all of us to tune into today, to be aware of. And what came through very clearly, I have my notes right here if I'm looking over, is that it's a new cycle. Today starts a new cycle for us. And the momentum from yesterday we were kind of getting a push of this energy, push forward into our higher selves, into our higher emotional selves, into our higher well-being, of an expression of well-being. And in our physical lives, we're getting a push forward from the energies from yesterday. And today is the day we're going to start taking momentum in that push forward, which can be exciting. And also there are some things to be aware of, which I'm gonna tune into, and we can be aware of that. But spiritually, we have gotten a huge upgrade. So any parts of us that have been a little bit filtered from our higher self, from our soul, those things have been purged more and more. We're purging more. You might see the outer expression of purging. You might have some, I'm kind of hopping to the physical part, but you might have some diarrhea. You might be purging in some way. You might be sweating more. The other process that people aren't really talking about is body odor. As we start to release more and more of the toxic, more denser energies within us, the things like anxiety and fear and grief, as our body sweats that out, you might notice that you're kind of stinky a little bit more. So it's kind of embarrassing, but it's also part of the process. So this thing in my eye, I believe, is something being purged that I can't quite identify. I might sit with it later because I think it's just kind of fascinating. But at the moment, I don't really have an explanation for it. But I just trust that my body is getting rid of what it needs to get rid of, because my higher self is coming more and more to the surface, as you are. And our egos, the personality, the old self that was built around all of our beliefs and our patterns and everything that we know from our life to this point, our ego is kind of freaking out a little bit. It's throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum. So emotionally, you might feel some fear. You might, as you're integrating this into this new energy, you might feel that all of your fears are bubbling up, anxieties are bubbling up, all the things you're like, oh my gosh, what about this? And sometimes if you've purged a lot, and especially the things that you have most feared already, all of a sudden you're feeling fears that are kind of irrational. When you feel it, you feel the anxiety, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, what am I really feeling fear about? What am I really anxious about? And then when you sit with it, you realize that it's really not a whole lot about anything, because you've already purged those things that you were most afraid of already. So it could be collective fear. And if you're empathic, you could be just feeling a little bit more fear today than normal. And I wanted to pull out these cards because I want to break down fear a little bit, but fear is down here in these lower densities. So, and they, all of these lower denser emotions are really just fear. They're different expressions of fear. So anger and insecurity, scarcity, guilt, grief, shame, all of those are kind of different expressions of fear. But when I pulled out the fear card, I wanted to show this to you because the fear is really your ego, ego pulling this up. This is not your higher self. This is not the version of you that is now in control. So what you're feeling is really your ego having a little bit of a temper tantrum because it's no longer in control. And it's usually saying, no, I usually put you in fear and you submit and we just do the same thing that we've always done and we're safe. So why are you doing this soul thing? Like, don't listen to soul, listen to me. Gosh darn it, listen to me. But you've purged so much of things that you need to be fearful of, or that, not that you need to actually, that you have been fearful of, that your ego now today probably is going to be sending up irrational fears, irrational anxieties, irrational worries. And when you really get in tuned with them and you sit with them rather than react to them, you sit and you respond and say, okay, what is this really about? You're going to find that there's not really anything about it. This is where you turn to your third eye, your alarm point. When you feel fear, come up to your third eye. If you need to put some frankincense oil just to kind of bring yourself back to that balanced state, the scent of it, the energy of it is going to bring you back in tune with your third eye, which is kind of like the communication, what's the word I want? Route to your soul. And that's where you start to then come back into the vision of what is soul taking you towards? What is the momentum now that she is taking you into? That is why you have to really pay attention to your emotional state, because the momentum of the energy that's now taking you forth into this new cycle is going to be propelled by the emotion that you feel. So if you get stuck and in this fear that is bubbling up today and this worry and anxiety, and you identify with it, you attach to it rather than really understanding it, the momentum that you are now being pushed forward with is going to create more of that. So remember, our emotions are kind of like the magnet. That's our electromagnetic field that we create with our thoughts and our feelings. And then that then goes out, and what is attracted to it out in the physical world is going to be what your projection is, what you see projected in your physical reality. That is why today is the day. You know you're being pushed forward with momentum. You are now in the flow of how you feel most often and how you think most often. These two things are coming together so quickly now for us and for you that it's really yours to tune into and really pay attention to. Okay? So if you still allow your ego to come up and take the lead, it is going to take you into the space that you're not really wanting to go, probably, in most cases. If you allow your soul to take the lead, because and I know it's uncomfortable because many of us haven't been there yet. We haven't been soul-led, we've been ego-led. But these past few months and this past year has really been about releasing all of these older, more denser energies. That means, quite frankly, that is not as much a prevalent emotion in us anymore. And what's prevalent is in excitement and anticipation of our intentions. And the soul knows exactly where to go, and she is going to, as long as you just say, let's do this, let's go, I'm so excited to see where we go, and you let her take the lead with this flow of momentum and momentous energy behind you, you're going to be able to flow forward into a brand new expression into your physical world. So trust any emotions that come up, sit with them. If they feel really good, then keep doing what you're doing. If they don't, stop and sit with them and see what it's all about, because most likely it's not going to be about you. It's just going to be collective energy that you picked up, and you're going to say, oh God, that's not even mine. I don't have to do anything with it. I just have to recognize that it's not mine. What do I want to do now to elevate myself into a higher state of inspiration? And you do that. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Physically, in your physical world today, pay attention. This has been coming up quite a bit. So there's a whole new cycle of relationship coming into your life. So pay attention to what that might look like. Now, we always think romantic relationships, and that could be if that's in your world, but it could also be new partnerships, business relationships, new friendships, there's all kinds of different expressions of relationships. So that's going to be showing up here in your world here. Today, pay attention to it. Who do you meet? Maybe someone online where all of a sudden you're like, oh, I really like this person. Allow that to be a ping to pay attention. It might be someone that is being called forth for you to nurture that relationship a little bit further. Also, again, being in a new cycle means you're starting all over with established relationships. So if you are still holding on to any relationships that are painful in any way, you're starting a brand new cycle. So this is when you have to really choose and discern whether that relationship is serving you, and do you really want to go into a whole new cycle. I don't know how long that cycle is, to be quite honest with you, but it's a new cycle. So it could be, it could be years, it could be a lifetime. I have no idea, but it's enough of a kind of an exclamation point in my mind as I'm saying this, to really pay attention to. So if you have a relationship that's a little bit painful in some way, whether it's annoying or whether it's literally painful, whether you have interactions with this person or this relationship and you end up resentful, or you end up unhappy more often, when you walk away, you're like, oh, this is the time to take care of it. This actually came up in a conversation with a healing circle that I'm a part of last night, and we were talking about that very thing, discerning with different relationships. If they leave you feeling resentful more often than not, it's something to then question and discern whether or not you want that relationship. And I know it's hard and I know it's painful to cut relationships off that are unhealthy, but it's the healthiest point right now to do it, so that you're not starting a brand new cycle with this relationship going with you, especially with this momentum coming in, because that relationship, momentum-wise, is going to get more and more painful quickly, and you're going to have to deal with it anyway. So now is the time, whether you have to have a conversation, whether you have to put boundaries up, whether you have to cut the relationship altogether, that is completely in your free will. It's completely in your discernment. So just pay attention to those relationships, and also be really aware today of any new relationships, any new sparks of interest that you have in someone, or even something. A new relationship could be a new job. It could be a new organization that you partner with. So again, a bunch of different expressions of relationships. So pay attention to that, because that's going to be really important for you today. Lastly, in the physical world, drink lots of water. You were grounding into these higher frequencies, so we have to ground them down. Get your feet in the grass. Take care of yourself. Take frequent naps. I know after yesterday, and talking with a few people yesterday, the one symptom that everyone expressed was, I'm so tired. I just get like bowled over with exhaustion, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong. You just take some naps, takes like interval naps. Power naps work better for me than a long nap, because then I get up all groggy and weird. So just, you'll know what's right for you, but really take care of yourself at this time. So that is today's daily tune in. Thank you for being here. Thanks for tuning in. If this resonates with you, please share this video. Allow other people to understand what's happening, because it's a weird time and we're not taught about this in our outer world, in our physical world, in traditional education. We're not taught about how energy does affect us and what we are doing with it, what we have to do with energy in order to integrate it. And this is important stuff that we're doing here. It's important stuff that we're going through. These are biblical times that we're growing and evolving into. So people need to know what's happening, and they need to know how they can implement and integrate these energies in their personal lives, so that people have more peace, more happiness, more joy, more inspiration during this time when we are being fed a lot of fearful things that really is just simply to divide us. And this is how we unify together, by taking our own health and our own consciousness into our own awareness, tuning into it, and allowing ourselves to be the models of a higher consciousness in the world today. Thank you for being here. Love to you. Mwah. Bye. If today's daily tune-in brought you value and insight, please consider giving in return for that value by leaving a love offering. All donations go to keeping this platform operating and in service to humanity during these transformational times. To go even deeper into your soul frequency, please consider these offerings. For personal insights into your most pressing questions and concerns, get an energetic insight reading delivered directly to your inbox. To take a quantum leap in your transformation, book a personal session with Vedette. There are several options available based on how deeply you would like to go into your most desired soul-led life. To find more information and to book your sessions, please visit VedetteMayer.com.